Hello, everybody. Hey, Dildos. I know this is not the usual getup. I actually did not plan to still be on the road because I usually work on Sundays after church and stuff, just depending on what I need to do. And I got caught up. So we are improvising. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Just leave a comment. Let me know. Because this is my first time actually using StreamYard in the car. So I want to make sure that everything's working right. If you're catching the replay, you can skip ahead to about the let's say 4 minute mark because I'm gonna do my announcements real quick. Tonight is a story time, so it's chill. Make sure you get yourself a snack, get yourself something to drink, okay? Because this story I've been meaning to tell it since last like March, so it's been a little over a year. The experience was a little traumatizing for me. It definitely taught me some things, and it did affect my mental health. Hence why I'm telling it this month because I was gonna tell it earlier. So yeah, and don't mind the messy shirt, y'all. Like I ate food earlier and it spilled on my shirt. But if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. If you watch a few videos and you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe. Also, check the description box if you want to join the newsletter. I send it out on the 1st and the 15th of every month, unless, I'm like a day or two late. But for the most part, the 1st and 15th, you'll get the newsletter. And I talk about all things business, faith, and life. I give you encouragement. I tell you what God's doing in my life, what's going on with me. It's like our one-on-one conversation. So things that I would not say anywhere else on social media or whatever, you get that in the newsletter, plus like tips and tricks, and eventually you'll get discounts and invitations to events and stuff because we going upwards and onwards. Hey, Michelle, I wonder if I could show this. So I'm on the phone. I don't know if I can flash your comment. Oh, there we go. Okay, come on, StreamYard. So I can flash it across the screen. Hello, Kiss Danny. If this is your first time on my live, welcome. So yeah, check the description box for the newsletter. Often it's free, like I said. And also, if you are someone who's like, look, I have gifts, I have talents, passions, skill sets, things that I'm ready to like earn an income from, whether it's a side income to supplement your primary income or whether you want to turn it into a highly functional business. If you are an aspiring creative entrepreneur, or you might be a novice, maybe you started a business and you're like, I don't know how to take this to the next level, then book a creative consultation call with me. I sit with you. I like go over the whole thing. You could literally brain dump onto me, and I'll tell you how to structure everything you said into a business to make you money. I have went from being homeless in a new city to making 4 figures a month in a new city, working completely for myself, single mother, all of that. So, I've worked with, A Productions, Auntie Jody on YouTube, Symphony Music Group, Modern Day Makeup Mommy. I mean, the list goes on and on, but click that link down below if that interests you. And then last but not least, tonight is a giveaway. Everyone's open to this giveaway. It's not just for moms, like Mother's Day. And you have to be present to win. You also have to have Cash App or Zelle. So if you do not have Zelle or Cash App, you cannot participate in the giveaway because I will be giving you the money like live. Well, not so much with Zelle, but if it's a Cash App, it'll be live. So you do have to be here. That's towards the end. And other than that, like I said, get yourself a drink. Make sure you click like, click share, invite some friends to this, because this is definitely something that has been on my mind to share for about 14, 15 months now. And I'm ready to share my story. I'm ready to share the lessons with it. So we're going to dive in. I'm not going to be too long either because I am in the car and, I just don't want to be like out in the dark. At least, or if it starts to get dark, that's one thing, but I don't want it to be like pitch black and I'm trying to tell y'all a story. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I will say too, I'm going to go ahead and preface this and say, and let me know if y'all can hear me. Like someone just say yes, if you can hear me, see me okay, just put yes in the comments or something so I know, because I don't want to be like in the throes of my story and then y'all are like, I can't even hear you or whatever the case may be. So someone just give me some affirmation to know that everything's working right. But I will preface this and say that I'm not telling this story to slander anybody. I'm not telling this story to put down anyone's character. I'm merely telling this story to share my truth and to let you guys know that, okay, perfect, you can hear and see me. Perfect. Good to know. Hey girl, how are you? I hope you've been doing well. I haven't seen you in a minute. But I'm just telling this story to share my truth because I want to share just how this one almost made me leave the church altogether. And thank you, Michelle, always loyal with liking the videos and stuff. One, how this almost made me leave the church altogether, and two, like I said, just how it affected my mental health. So I'm not trying to put down this guy's character. I think to this day he still has a lot of great characteristics. He just was not for me. as I thought he was. So I'm not trying to slander him because I really do think at the heart of it all, he's a great guy. But we're gonna go ahead and dive in. Okay, so I gotta give you the background story first. So let's travel back to October 2020. And a bunch of my friends who are like Christian hip hop artists of sorts, like Christian hip hop and Christian R&B artists, were embarking upon Atlanta, where I live now, to just do like promo, photo shoots, video shoots, like the whole shebang, right? And so one of my good friends in the group, he's now passed away, rest in peace to Biz. He told me they were coming, and so he was the main one to kind of like rope me into the plans, and that's how I met everybody else in person. And then some of them I met that weekend, and we kept in touch. And so he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be in town," you know. And they were coming from all over Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. And so, and some of them already lived here. And so I went to the video shoot for one of my good friends, and I was just chilling, kicking it with people, meeting them. Some of them I had already connected with online, so it was nice to actually put human interaction, face-to-face interaction with their face, and just have that rapport or whatever. And so I remember meeting my ex on that Friday when I was at the video shoot, and we were downtown. I don't know the name of this neighborhood, but it's in Atlanta, and it's like there's a big Ferris wheel there. I want to say it's by Olympic Park, but don't quote me. Honestly, I don't go downtown that often. But we were out there shooting the music video, and the guy, my ex, was interviewing my friend whose video shoot it was. And so my friend pulled me to the side, and he was like, "Oh, meet so and so." I'll give my ex a different name. We'll just say Steve. Like, "Oh, here's Steve. You know, Steve meet Rondelle. Rondelle meet Steve." And so I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And in my mind, yes, Centennial Park. There we go. So in my mind, I remember thinking, wow, like he's attractive, but I'm not gonna hold you. He had kind of like a lost look on his face, like kind of this deer caught in headlights look about him. And I was just like, okay, he looks like he got a lot on his mind. So, and mind you too, at the end of the day, I was crushing on, yeah, downtown Atlanta. There we go. Because I don't be knowing, like, know, I stay in the suburbs. And so at the time, I had another crush, and my crush was there. And I was still very much crushing on him. You could hear the story about my crush on that other guy in my video called My First Time Praying About a Crush and Why You Should Trust God When Dating or something like that. I would have put the banner here, but if you look on my channel, you'll see it. I think the thumbnail says My First Time Praying About a Crush, and I give the whole background on that because that's a whole nother story in and of itself. So if you want to hear that story time and those lessons, go check out that video. So I thought my ex Steve was cute, but I was like, I'm really here for my boo, like my future boo, you know? And so I didn't pay him much mind. We didn't really exchange words much for the weekend. I only saw him that Friday night. He never came to the other events on Saturday or Sunday. But, you know, at an event like that, everyone's exchanging Instagrams, not even numbers so much, but they're like, "Oh, what's your Instagram? What's your Instagram?" So we're exchanging Instagrams, and, you know, I said hey to him, shook his hand. He was kind of staring at me like a deer caught in headlights. We exchanged Instagrams, and that's that. And so then we went back to the Airbnb where majority of them were from out of town were staying. And you know, we're sitting, chilling, talking, shooting the breeze, whatever. He comes really late with some JJ's, not JJ, sorry, JR crickets with chicken wings and fries. Him and my friend that introduced me to him, they come in like super late with the chicken wings and the fries, and like, "Yeah, we brought food for y'all." Mind you, that Friday my mom and I had already cooked curry, chicken, and rice and peas for them, so people pretty much already ate, but you know, that was hours prior. So when he came in, the only thing we said to each other for that whole weekend, besides "Hey, how are you?" is "The fries are cold." Because when he was taking out the food, when Steve, my ex, was taking out the food, he was like, "Yeah, the fries are kind of cold. You know, you might want to heat it up." So I was like, "Oh, okay." That was it. I was not checking for him, right? And so the weekend ends. I knew he lived in Atlanta. I knew he had like a Christian radio show on a internet radio station and stuff. And that's how he met my friend, because he had interviewed my friend. And then my friend invited him to the video shoot. And so I knew he was local, but I'm not even going to hold y'all. Since I moved to Atlanta, I have been sketchy about meeting people. Like, I've had some of the weirdest and most tumultuous interactions with people since I relocated. And so I'm a little triggered by meeting people. I'm a little more introverted than I used to be before I moved down here. So even though some people were like, "Yeah, I'm local, we should hang out," like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not hanging out with you. Like, you know, like I'm sorry, like you gotta put in some work because I'm kind of battered right now, so I can't. Like, it's just too much. And so I was not about to do that with him, even though he was like, "Yeah, we should keep in touch." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, whatever." And so weekend ends, everyone goes home. We're all on a high. We're like, man, it was a great weekend. Like, woo, woo, woo. We met each other, whatever. And so after that weekend, my ex Steve, he was like watching my stories on Instagram and stuff. And I'm not one of those women that's like, oh, he's watching my stories. He likes me because sometimes people really just like press a story and then they put the phone down and it just keeps going. I know I do that sometimes. Hey, Yasmin, it's all good. And yes, come on, watching the ads, it's the loyalty for me. I appreciate it, sis. And so I'm not one of those that's like, oh, he likes me. He watched he watches all my stories. But I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe he's feeling the girl, maybe he's feeling the kid. No skipping ads, okay? Period. We don't skip ads around here. So I was like, he might be feeling me, but I didn't read too much into it because again, I was crushing on this other dude. So the days go by, the weeks go by. It goes from just watching my stories to like responding to my stories. So sometimes in my stories, I'll put like funny stuff up. Back then, I was way more active on Instagram too. So I'll put like funny stuff up or like, just little memes or like stuff that pops in my mind or whatever. So he would respond to it and be like, man, that's funny or this or that. And so we'd be cracking jokes or whatever. And then he would send me memes. And so it kind of was like slowly but surely elevating. And yeah, you made it into like deeper conversation. And so then it went from that to like on Sundays, he would send me like a scripture and be like, happy Sunday. Hope you're having a blessed day. This, that, the third, whatever, whatever. He might send me a gospel song or whatever. And it's just elevating slowly but surely. And so needless to say, November comes around because that was like the first weekend in October when everyone came. So about a month later, or approaching a month later, he sends me a message. He's like, "Hey, like, I don't know if you remember, but I have a Christian radio show and I'd like to interview you for the show and stuff like that." If you see me looking around, y'all, I am in like a parking lot of an establishment. So I'm just like, my head is on the swivel. But because I had to pull over to do this real quick. But so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like that would be cool because I've never been on a radio show. And it was actually on my vision board for that year to be on like more publications and stuff. So I was like, look at God showing up and showing out, opening doors and whatnot. And so he was like, okay, like you could come this day and this at the third, whatever, whatever. So we planned it. I'm like, oh, this is about to be fire. Like if y'all been following me for a while, you might actually remember that post I put up on Instagram back in 2020, November 2020, where I was like, we have a radio station. You can see the backdrop, and I'm standing in front of like the little wallpaper that they be having at like entertainment events and stuff or radio stations or TV stations. I was the backdrop. I was standing in front of that and stuff and taking little boomerangs and things like that. Hey, Janique. Hey, sis. And so he actually had messaged me back and he was like, hey, I got to rearrange the time because I'm not an early morning person. Like, I don't like getting up at the crack of dawn to go meet people to do stuff. Like, I could do mid morning to late morning or like early afternoon because I need time to like get my day started, do my devotional, like, because I'm usually up late. And so he messaged me and he was like, I got to actually push the time forward because I got to go do something that afternoon. So do you mind if we meet? Like, he wanted me to meet like 2-3 hours earlier, I think, than what we had planned. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, you lucky I like you because otherwise I would be like, nah, like, that's too early. Let's reschedule. So he was like, to make it up to you, I'll take you out to breakfast. So I was like, say less, you treating, I'm eating, period. Like, I'm never going to turn down someone spending money on me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not turning that down. And so he was like, okay, cool. My treat, whatever. Of course, it's your treat. And so I go to the interview. Everything goes well. After the interview, we go to breakfast and stuff. And it was at breakfast that I realized that this was probably more than just like friends talking on Instagram or whatever, because I'm not slow. Like, I could pick up when a guy is trying to holler at me or when he's feeling me or whatever, but I also try not to jump the gun and be like, oh, he wants me. Like, because sometimes women be doing the most with that. And it's like, not every man's interested in you like that. Some men are really just nice. So I was like, I'm trying not to assume anything, but at breakfast it became very apparent because he was asking me questions that you would ask someone that you're interested in, like, let me see if this is even worth pursuing type stuff. And I also saw a different side of him because, like I said, when I met him a month prior, he looked really like just like a deer caught in headlights. Like, he was really overwhelmed, like he had a lot on his mind. He didn't seem as warm and welcoming, so that's why I didn't really even pursue much conversation or anything like that. But at breakfast he was like, all right, okay, of course it's your And so at breakfast he was like way more chill though, like way more relaxed. I realized how funny he is. So we were cracking jokes and he really had me like keeled over in laughter. Like he was that funny. And so I was like, wow, that was a really good breakfast. And so when we were done eating, he walked me out of the restaurant and stuff to my car and he was, gave me a hug goodbye, but it was one of those hugs where he kind of lingered. Like he wanted more to happen, but nothing more happened. So I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, because I had to go live. I actually went live that same day from my car. And that video's on my channel too about no, I didn't go live. I taped the video, I think. It was about what was it? Why you feel overlooked or why you don't fit in or something like that. But it's on my channel back in 2020. And so I taped the video because I'm thinking that, like, I wasn't thinking like, "Ooh, let me linger in this hug." I'm like, I gotta get to this video. So it was what it was. So he was like, "Yeah, let's keep in touch, let's hang out. I'll keep you posted on that event or whatever." Because he had invited me to some event or something. So he was like, "Yeah, let's keep in touch. Let's not be strangers," type of thing. So I'm like, "Okay, yes." It was that video in my car, and I was looking good that day too. Okay, hair was done, everything, makeup on point, and I had that new sweater on, so I was feeling myself. And so I was like, okay, yeah, cool, cool, cool. So I go in the car, take the video. He had hit me up, I think later that day or the next day. I can't remember. It's all a blur now. But within 24 hours, he hit me up and he was just like, yeah, like I had fun at breakfast. I'd love for us to hang out again, this or the third. And I think he kept inviting me to like public events, not like a date, but like kind of where it could be a date. But it's like, if it doesn't go the way that he was hoping, then it was like, okay, it wasn't really a date. Like his ego wouldn't be too bruised type of thing. And so I was like, okay, yeah, we can hang out. And so fast forward through the holidays. Well, my birthday, he wished me happy birthday and stuff. And fast forward through Christmas, all that, the pleasantries, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy birthday, all that kind of stuff. So the new year came and I was already hosting my yearly New Year's Eve lives at that point. So after I finished my live, I was in my DMs and my texts, responded to everybody. And I realized he had sent me a message, I believe, like earlier. I don't know if it was that day or the day before or whatever, but I decided to respond. And I was like, you know what? Let me send him a voice note because he's been like really open and really warm. So I was like, let me send him a voice note. So I was like, Happy New Year. It was a pleasure meeting you this year. And I look forward to what the new year has in store for us and whatever, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was like, professional cute. Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling you, whatever. But it was like, if you want to shoot your shot, the hoop is open if you want to. But if you don't, then it's whatever. Like we could just be friends. Because at this point, I had found out the guy I was crushing on originally wasn't looking for a relationship. So I was kind of over it all. I was like, oh, every guy that I like want this year is just not in that headspace and I'm over it. So I wasn't really trying to be too thirsty with Steve, my ex. And so I sent him the voice note. I thought he was going to be asleep because generally speaking, he typically went to bed kind of early or at least earlier than me. But I was on the phone with my nephews in Jersey. And after I got off the phone with them, he had video called me. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're video calling. Like, it was like every time I took a step, like he elevated it. So if I texted, he sent a voice note. If I sent a voice note, he would video chat. If I video chatted, he'd be like, let's take, like, he was always taking it to the next level type thing. So I was like, oh, okay, a video chat. And it was, mind you, it's like 3 a.m. at this point because I was talking to my nephews for a minute, just catching up and whatnot. And then I was like, wow, I'm shocked you're still up. He was like, yeah, I went to something at his church or something like that. And then he went out to eat with some friends or something. So he was like, I'm really just getting back in the house. And I saw listened to your voice note. So I was like, let me respond. So I was like, oh, okay. So I thought he was just going to say Happy New Year and keep it moving. But he actually kept the conversation going. And we stayed on the phone for like maybe 35, 40 minutes, just talking, getting to know each other more and stuff. So I was like, wow, like he's really trying to shoot a shot. Like I really didn't think he was, because his energy at first is kind of like, And so we're talking and stuff like that. And that was the beginning of him really pursuing me. And so after that New Year's Eve or New Year's Day at this point conversation, hello, Ayaj, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but that was the beginning of him really pursuing me. So after that, I want to say maybe like 2 weeks later, he had suggested we go on a date. And so he asked me where I wanted to go. So I was like, oh, we could go to the Trap Museum. Yo, I could be kind of ratchet, so don't judge me. But I was like, oh, we could go to the Trap Museum. I love the Trap Museum. And he hadn't been, and he's an Atlanta native. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, let's go. Like, let's do it. And so he was like, okay, cool. So he planned all that, put all that together, whatever. We made sure dates, times worked. We met up there, and that was like our first date. Like it wasn't really a date. I'm low-key, no, Michelle, don't do that, okay? Because I'm remembering the good times. So that's why I'm going right now. But and listen, this story takes a turn, y'all. But that was like our first, like our low key first date or whatever. So mind you, he's very bougie. He's very like he makes me look gutter, and I'm bougie. So I'm like sophisticated ratchet. Like I'm sophisticated, but I got a dash of ratchet in me. But he makes me look like gutter. Like he's very bougie. And I'm just like, you would think he would be more gutter just based on like where he grew up, but nah, like you can't judge a book. Yes, man, you are not about to co-star Michelle in the company. Y'all are too much. And so, needless to say, we're in the trap museum. I'm showing him a thing or two about the trap. I'm like, yeah, so this is what they do. Like, I'm like giving him a tour because he has no clue what's going on. So, gutter child. Like, he really looks straight gutter. So, I'm breaking it down to him. He's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And everyone's like really going ham. Like, because the trap museum could get pretty ratchet. Like, yes, I'm sophisticated ratchet. And so he was like, okay, I'm liking this or whatever. So we go out to eat afterwards downtown at Mango's in the Sweet Auburn neighborhood. And so that one, all of the Mango's I've been to personally have had like a DJ and music and stuff. But that one, in my experience, has been a little bit more lit. Like it's a little bit more crowded. It's a little bit more live. And so that this was like a Saturday night. So it was fairly crowded. We got there early enough before the rush, but it was still other people there. And so the DJ was out, the dance floor was open. And next thing you know, he starts whining. So for those that don't know, I have Caribbean roots. My parents are from Guyana. So when it comes to like reggae, soca, dance hall, like I hear that first note and I'm busting a whine. Like it doesn't take much for me. It doesn't matter where I'm at. And so the music is playing and the DJ playing some good hits or whatever. And thanks so much, Yasmin. I appreciate it. And I love the Sweet Auburn neighborhood too. And so he starts busting a whine, and I'm like, wait a minute, like you know how to whine? Because he was actually on point and like on rhythm and stuff. And he was like, yeah, like my dad has Jamaican roots and this. I was like, let me find out. So now we're bonding on a whole nother level. And I was like, what? So, we sit down, we eat, we're talking. And when we get to the table, y'all, it's like we were literally like a couple. Like people kept walking by us, like looking at us like they must have been together for a while because we look like a seasoned couple, right, Janique? So we look like a seasoned couple, and so they're looking approvingly, smiling, whatever. Like we're literally dishing out food for each other, like splitting the roti, tasting each other, like doing couple stuff. And so we're talking about like life goals, life vision. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This, that. And when I tell y'all, like we meshed on a level where it was like, this is creepy. Like it's almost like you were hand designed for me, like stuff that you would be like, okay, there's no way I would find someone that would like agree to this or would see this for themselves or would understand or anything like that. He was on point with that. Like it got to a point in the conversation, yes, seasoned couple. It got to a point in the conversation where we literally were talking, but we were like looking at each other and was like, I think you're my spouse. Like that was the energy in the room. The tension was like so thick. It was like I vividly remember us sitting across the table looking at each other like, yeah, like there's something about you here. This ain't no friendship. This is deeper. Like that's when the atmosphere shifted. And so after that, he walked me to my car again, opened the door. I still feel like he was lingering, waiting for a kiss or something like that, but I didn't feed into it, y'all. I was because I was in awe. I was kind of like, what's happening here? Like this is different. I did not expect this. And so I get in the car, I buckle up, I'm pulling up my GPS because it was early enough to where I was like, I think I'm gonna do some Uber Eats because Saturday in that neighborhood is typically pretty good. And so I look in the rearview mirror just to see what he's doing because he didn't budge at all. And he's just sitting there like staring into space, like in awe. Like he has like like a look of awe in his face or whatever. And so I'm just like, I think he's shook. This is much as I'm shook. And so he called me during my shift, make sure I was good, all that good stuff, whatever. So after that official first date, everything started speeding up at that point. Like he's calling me every day now. He's like, how are you? What you doing? We talking for like an hour, 2 hours. And I mean, when I say like he was asking me questions, like he wanted to make sure that like if he was going to pursue me, that it was going to be like some husband wife type stuff because he was ready for marriage. And I haven't talked to him since we broke up, but I'm going to go ahead and assume he's still in that space. Like he's very intentional. And that's one thing that I did enjoy about our dating experience. There was no room for like, are you feeling me? Are you not? Like, what are it was very much like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm ready for a wife. This is where I'm at. This, that, da, da, da. And so I was like, yes, take the lead. And so I remember one day I was taking my mom to her pharmacy to get her meds. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all. My mom is like my best friend. Like she knows about all the guys that I date, all the nitty gritty, everything. And sometimes when I'm on the phone with them, she's in the car, so I'm like, just be quiet. Like I know it's probably jacked up, but I'm just I'm like, just be quiet, so you can. Because my mom's a great judge of character too. So sometimes I'll be wanting her to kind of hear a conversation without them knowing, so she can be like, nah, I wasn't feeling his energy, or I wasn't feeling this or that. Because she's gonna pick up on stuff that I might miss. And she doesn't cut cards. Like she'll be like, nah, I don't like that. Or okay, yeah, I like this or that or whatever, whatever. And so I was like, okay, he's calling mom. And I knew he was busy the rest of the day. So I was like, just be quiet. So she's listening and he was intentional. He was like, what do you see about this? What do you think about that? Like he was asking. I remember my mom got out the car, got her medication, came back. He was still asking me questions. Like he was really interviewing for a wife and a bride. And I got off the phone with him because we kind of got into this deep discussion about submission because he was like he really wants a woman that can submit. And for me, I'm not gonna say I'm triggered by the word submission, but I don't like when it's like beat into my head because I personally believe, just from knowing myself and the women that I hang around, you don't have to tell me to submit if you are doing what you're supposed to do. If I respect you and trust you, I'm going to naturally submit. Like, don't think because I'm assertive in like my business and other areas of my life, I don't know how to submit. I have to be assertive. Like, these are areas where people look to me, in my business as a consultant, as a single mom. Like, I really don't have a choice but to in those areas, but I know how to take a back seat. I enjoy taking a back seat and letting a man lead because it's a breath of fresh air for me to not have to always call all the shots. And so I was breaking that down to him, but he had some, triggering from a prior relationship that kind of had him like, all over the place when it came to that because his ex really had a problem with that. And so it was like, because I wasn't like, yes, I'm ready to submit to you tomorrow, it kind of had him feeling some type of way. And I was like, we got to work our way up to that. Like, I'm not just going to put my life in your hands and we are just getting to know each other. Like, it's definitely something that you grow into, but you gotta grow into it. We're just getting to know each other. We're not even in a relationship yet. Yes, okay. I've learned and I'm learning so much about this. Right. It's like an ebb and flow. So it's like, it's a give and take. And so um basically we ended the conversation on that and he was like, okay, like, I got some things to think about and this and that. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And that was that. I mean, again, I'm like, I know he's trying to holler at me, but I'm not pressed either way. I'm just kind of like whatever. Because there's always options. I always have options. Not that's not to sound conceited, but I always do have options. Like I always have a roster. So I'm just kind of like, whatever. Like if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I did remember that experience at the restaurant. So when he got off the phone, my mom was like, he's looking for a wife. Like he ain't playing. She was like, he was at your neck. Like, are you ready? Are you a wife? And I was like, seriously though, like he had me kind of like, like I gotta get myself together type of thing. Thankfully that my husband has never said you need to submit. Right. And that was the thing that kind of got me because it's just like you keep harping on submission. It's one thing if you bring it up in conversation. It's another if you're like submit, 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 submit. You gotta why do you keep telling me this? Like if you're doing what you have to do, I'm submitted, sir. Calm down. Like relax. What are you so paranoid about? So I'm like, you still have some things from your prior relationship that you gotta kind of heal from and understand that not every woman is gonna hit you with the bait and switch or like the okey doke. Like some women really back up what they say. And anybody that knows me knows like I'm the type you could bank your bottom dollar on, period. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like you don't have to worry about me switching up on you. And so after that conversation, we keep talking every day. I had an incident where the car I was renting at the time, the battery died. And so the owner of the car was like, well, if you can get someone to jumpstart it, you could bring it to me and I'll change the battery and stuff and whatnot because I had to work that day. I always have options. Yeah. Your girl stays with a roster of sorts. And so I was not calling, I posted it in my neighborhood Facebook group and I was like, can anyone give me a jump? But my neighbors are kind of sketchy, y'all. Sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't. They can be a little weird. And so I knew that the place closed at a certain time. So I was like, dang, this is a perfect time to call him to one, see, kind of test him and see, like, is he about that life? Like, is he someone I could depend on in the time of need? And two, to really see if I could get some help. And so I texted him and I was like, hey, well, I called first, he didn't answer. Then I texted and I was like, hey, I was just calling because I need a jump to get this car to the owner so I can swap it out, et cetera, get a refund for the day, et cetera. And so he was like, okay, I'm heading into a meeting. for work at the station. When I get out, I'm gonna call you. It should only last like 45 minutes, no more than an hour. That's another thing I like about him too. Detail. Like I don't have to like, cause I'm that type of person. If I can't answer something like that, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna hit you up at this time when I'm done doing this. Like I don't like leaving people in the lurch and like what's going on. I'm always gonna communicate. And he was like that too. And so I was like, okay, cool. So it was early enough where I wasn't freaking out. And when I say on the dot, like it wasn't quite an hour, it was probably about 50 minutes. He called me on the dot after that meeting at work got out. And he was like, hey, I literally hear the scuffling in the background of the meeting ending. He's like, hey, I'm getting out of the meeting now. Do you still need to jump? So a company that I had called before I called him had called me back while he was in the meeting. So I just went ahead and used them. But he was ready. He was like, I'm in the car. What's the address? And I lived like an hour, 15 minutes from where he worked at the station. And so I was like, it's okay. The company actually I called the company before I called you. And, they actually came sooner and stuff. So he was like, are you sure? You good? Like, you want me to just come and make sure? I was like, no, it's fine. Cause now at this point, it's like rush hour. So I'm like, still pointing you just driving just to watch them. Like, it's cool. I'll let you know if I still need you to come. And he was like, okay, let me know. Yes. Okay. You have to test these, man, before you take them serious. I'm like, I got to make sure that you are ready for this, got to make sure. Yes. The details and communication and follow through is everything. And so he's like, okay, keep me posted. And he's checking the whole time. He's like, did they come? Are you good? Do you need me? And so I'm like, yes, come on, It's crazy how I remember all these points in your life. I know, right? I know. That's how you know you the sis for real, because like you there every step of the way, front row seat. And so I get to the place, exchange the car. He calls me, make sure I'm good. We talk and all that kind of stuff. Then he takes a random trip because when he wasn't at the radio station, he was a flight attendant for Delta. So he could take flights like whenever, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss that accessibility. I'm like, dang, like like I'll try to get some free flights, but but either way, he took an impromptu trip to somewhere in the Midwest. It was like a random state because he was very adventurous. He was the type that would go to a state no one thought of, like, oh, I'm gonna go to Iowa for the weekend. And it's like, okay, like that's that's random, but he was that type, So he took a random trip, booked the Airbnb. He's calling me every single day on vacation. We're talking, video chatting when we can and stuff like that. And so then we get to, I want to say we went out one more time. Oh, Valentine's Day, because we went out again. And the other date was when he asked me to be his girl. So you should have let him come and save you. That bills are close about. I know I should have, but it's all good. It is all good. And so I'm wondering when this thing takes a turn. Oh, it's gonna take a turn. We get in there. And so yes, this is the speaking in tongues guy. Don't spoil the story. Don't do Yes, don't spoil the story. I know I should have. But you know what? It's all good. Like it's definitely a learning lesson. But okay, so we fast forward to Valentine's Day or approaching Valentine's Day. He's still on this impromptu vacation, mind you, and we're talking. And he's just like, oh, what do you have planned for February or whatever. So I was like, well, the first weekend in February, I'm just gonna probably do something with the family. I was like, and then the next weekend is Valentine's Day, whatever it was. I was like, the next weekend is Valentine's Day, so I'm probably just gonna work since I don't have a date. I was like, might as well get to the money. And so he was like, no, you have a date. And I was like, I do. He was like, yeah, you're my date, so I'm gonna take you out, this, that. So I was just like, oh, okay, tell me what it is. Like, take charge, right? So he plans the whole day. He ends the vacation early so he could come back, take me out and stuff. Plans the whole day. He actually recorded a bit of it because he wanted to like vlog the day for memories and stuff. So it was actually pretty funny because he pranked me. He made me think we were going out to eat at McDonald's, and my face in the video was like, "Boy, I know you lying. Like you had me get dressed up to come to McDonald's." Like I wish I had the clip because it was actually pretty funny. It would have made for a good YouTube video. And his friends, like, there were two of his friends who are married. They told him that, yeah, like she's gonna spaz on you. So when he told them my reaction and stuff, they were cracking up. It was really funny. It was a funny moment, but unfortunately I don't have the clip. So I feel like the turn is gonna be awful. It's absolutely awful. I was in here telling Michael, I think this is that. No, I'm weak. You're making yourself look like a strong Black woman that don't need a man. I know, sis, I know, but it's just like I was just in the moment like, hey, I just got to get to what I got to get to. McDonald's, the ghetto. I know, I know. And so he was like, no, I'm just playing. So we pull up to sorry. We pull up to the actual restaurant. We go in, everything's cool. He had gotten me, the little gifts and whatnot. And that was that. And so the night ends, we're in the car talking, then I continue on home, he continues on home, and we start having more and more conversations about spiritual stuff. So I got to put a pause here because when he took me to breakfast after the radio station, after the radio interview, he asked me if I speak in tongues, and I told him I don't. And he asked me that because he was about to tell me a story about something that happened in college, and the story involved that. And so I was like, I don't speak in tongues. I don't think it's unbiblical, but I have my convictions about it. And so he was like, okay, cool. So then fast forward back to this date and stuff like that, and us just getting to know each other. It kept coming up, that and submission kept coming up. At first, he was really harping on the submission part, but then it really started being the speaking in tongues thing. And so for me, I was like, well, we're both believers. I feel like that's something that could be worked around. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't feel like that's something where you both need to have that gift in order for a relationship or marriage to work. And so oh yeah, that was that was a very interesting Valentine's Day. And so he was more so of the belief like if you don't speak in tongues, then um it's just not gonna work because you're not gonna have as much power behind like your prayers or I wouldn't say he believed that if you don't speak in tongues you're not saved, even though it could have come off like that because I do know people that believe that, but it was definitely like, well, you're not going to be able to get a prayer through, or you're not going to be able to be as powerful when you're moving in the spirit because you lack the tongues and this and that. And so I was like, so it kind of was like a point of contention for us, more so because he kept bringing it up and it became a point of contention for him. And so then it kind of took the fun out of the relationship and just seeing where it could go. But for me, I was willing to compromise and work through it. I'm like, I have no problem with us finding a church where they do that. Like, because to me, it's like we believe in the same foundational stuff. So all that other stuff, like, we could work through it. But for him, it was like, it had to be like this. And so after Valentine's Day, he really started upping the ante on the speaking in tongues thing. And so I remember, I was like, well, I don't mind finding a church if you want to, where we both can feel like it's comfortable for us. I've never spoken in tongues either personally. And so he was like, okay. So he starts looking up churches because I don't care for his home church. I don't want to call out the pastor or nothing, but I don't care for his home church. So I was like, we can find another one that works for both of us. Just because, I personally, knowing the history of, where you go to church to worship, I just would not feel comfortable there. And so he was like, okay, cool. And he had found some churches. I went to one in particular. It was okay. I personally didn't feel like there was a place that I could call home, but I was willing to keep the search up and find a place that works for both of us. And so then a week after Valentine's Day, the radio station was having like this comedy show and music event in Atlanta at some comedy jazz club or something like that. And so he invited me to it, and I showed up early when he asked me to come. He's introducing me to the station manager. He's introducing me to the co-workers that were there. And everyone's just like, oh my gosh, who is this? Because we're not a couple at that point. But again, like, remember from weeks prior, people are already looking at us like they got to be a seasoned couple because that's how the energy was. And so I show up and the station manager, it was moving so fast, Yasmin. I show up and the station manager was like, oh, okay, who are you? Steve is single, right? Like, you should look into that. And I'm like, yeah, I know he's single. And we're laughing and joking about it. And he's like, okay, Steve, don't leave her on the market too long. And so it was a good time. I was laughing and joking with all of them. I got, a good seat in the house. He made sure I was taken care of and all that kind of stuff. And he had to work, but he kept like checking up on me and coming back and forth and making sure I was good. And so towards the end of the night, when they had the last act, he was able to kind of like take a breather before the night ended. So he came and sat with me for like about 45 minutes or so. And so there was a live jazz band and a musician there. And so the musician, she's working the room playing, I forgot the instrument she was playing, but she was working the room, like stopping at tables and playing in front of the couples and stuff. So she kind of stopped like kind of in front of us in this other table that was like diagonal to us. So she's in between both of us where we can both see her and she can face us both. And so she's playing for both tables, both couples respectively. And he puts his arm around me and he's just like, does this mean that we go together now? Does this mean that we're in a relationship? And I was like, you tell me, are we in a relationship or not? He was like, yeah, okay, we're in a relationship. I was like, okay, cool. So we became official that night. And then at the end of the night, everybody that I didn't meet before, now he's introduced me as his girlfriend and stuff. And they're just like, oh my gosh, Steve, we're so happy for you. She's so pretty, da da da. Can't wait to see you some more. So it was just like a big, like, family lovey-dovey moment. Like, yes, you know, he's in a relationship. Woo. So we go out to eat across the street because we just had like appetizers at the event, but across the street there was a restaurant. So we go out to eat. We're talking. He's asking me what type of homes I like. He's pulling them up. He's like, okay, so you would like a home like this or that? Sorry, y'all. I was making sure this wasn't someone random. He was like, you would like a home like this or that? So I was like, yeah. So we're like sitting there designing home floor plans together, like doing the most, right? Like, like we're literally like, we in there now, you know, we married. And mind you, we've had at this point, we've had very transparent conversations about like, you know, what's your financial situation looking like? What do you see your lifestyle looking like? Like, I like the fact that we put everything on the table. Like there was no secrets. There was no like, I wonder, da, da, da. Like he was very open. I was very open. There was no judgment. It was like, okay, if we're gonna do this, like we gotta make sure that we're doing it right. So we had all the hard conversations. We pretty much had a loose plan as far as like what things would look like if we were to get married and stuff like that. Right. I was like, oh, this is it, you know. And so we became a couple. And then the first like week was like paradise. It's like, yes, we're a couple. Yay, this is great. We went to the gun range together because I do like to go to the gun range. And you know, we had that home moment, so that was cool. He helped me perfect my shot with a certain gun. You know, it was a good time. It was a good bonding time. And then after that week, it's like he started to act real weird. Like, I don't know if conversations were had with friends and family about the tongues thing or what, but it's like he would not let this go. Like, it didn't matter how everything else was aligning, didn't matter how great everything else was. It was like, yeah, but you don't speak in tongues though. And I was just like, dang, we back to this? Like, you know, I'm like, I'm thinking we really like going somewhere and we're back to this tongues thing. And he's just like, yeah, like, I don't know. I can't see past it. You know, he did have a co-host at the time where I I don't want to speculate and say like, oh, she started beef or whatever, because I don't know. Like I never met her because she wasn't there that night at the radio station event, and I never talked to her or anything. But just I don't know. I just have a feeling like because they were really close. He claimed like she was like his little sister because she was younger than him and obviously younger than me because I'm older than him. But you know, he was like, yeah, she's like a sister to me. We just talk about everything, we share everything. So I just feel like conversations were probably had with her to where she was like, oh, why would you, you know, date a woman like that, this, that. And I'm gonna tell you why, or you'll see why in a second. And so he just keeps bringing it up. We're arguing about it. You know, he's like putting me down over it. And um, he speaks in tongues, but he doesn't interpret tongues. And so he's like putting me down about it, not in an overt way, but if you're not like hip to like that passive aggressiveness type of talk, you wouldn't pick up on it. But it was like slick insults, like, you know, like backhanded insults or backhanded compliments, where it's like, you know, you're saying something in a nice way, but it's really to tear down your character and your emotions. And so I was like, nah, like this is taking a toll on me at this point because now I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. And I had dated a guy back when I was 20 who was like that. And it was, again, I would go ahead and probably just call it spiritual manipulation, like where it really much was like, well, you're not holy enough. You're not saved because of this or that or whatever, whatever. I did not listen to Mike Todd's sermon on this. Can you send it to me, sis? Text it to me or IG message it to me, because it really felt like that. It was like I had to constantly jump through hoops. Like, see, I am saved, I am righteous, you know? And that's what Steve was reminding me of. Because when I was 20, I didn't know any better. You know, I was fresh in the game as far as adult relationships go and stuff like that, or anything really serious. And so that was my first experience with that. And I really was trying to prove to that ex, and I was 20, like, yeah, I am saved. But with Steve, I'm like, oh, no, we're not going down this road again. Like, I'm not doing that because I remember what it did to me, you know? His breakdown on speaking in tongues provided great clarity for me. Really, yeah, definitely send that to me. And so I'm praying about it. I'm fasting about it. I'm like, okay, God, like, I need a solid confirmation as to what exactly Steve is doing in my life. Like, what am I supposed to do here? So I prayed very specific prayers. I was like, God, I need A, B, or C to happen or to transpire if Steve is supposed to be in my life as more than a friend. And, you know, I'm not going to air all the prayers and whatnot, but let's just say I prayed the prayers and they came to pass exactly how I prayed for it. Just like how Gideon did in the Bible, where he was like, let it rain and let the fleece be dry. You know, and vice versa. those kind of prayers, so where you pray and it's like it happens specifically. And so I'm just like, okay, God, all right, so this is the confirmation. So why is all this stuff happening? So I told him, I was like, hey, like I feel like we need to fast and just take a minute away from each other to figure out like what are we doing? Because I feel like there's some hesitation. I feel like it's like, you want to, but there's not ears, there's voices in your ears behind the scenes or something like making you hesitate because now you're doing this weird thing that you weren't doing, for the past what 2-3 months. Like it was really weird. And so he was like, that's crazy because I woke up this morning and in my prayer time I felt the same nudging from the Holy Spirit that we need to fast and just take this, that. So he was like, how long you thinking? Like I was thinking like 4 days, 5 days. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like we could do that. And so we took those 4 or 5 days to fast where we didn't talk at all. Like we didn't talk and we were just fasting individually or whatever. And so I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm like, trying to get clarity. He up and takes a trip to Colombia and he's living his best life. Okay. Like he don't look like he even gave it a second thought. Like he was even really concerned. And so I'm not gonna lie, that made me feel some type of way because I'm like, I'm over here like really trying to get clarity. And you were the first one to say, like, oh, I don't think you pray enough or this or that. But and I'm not judging. I mean, live your best life. But I would think like if you really were concerned that you would have at least attempted and not be like turned up at the bar and with these random women and stuff taking pictures. Like it was just like, what in the world? And so he comes back, or I don't think he was back yet. I think this was the night before he came back, and we're video chatting and we're talking about everything. And mind you, he had written an email to my mom, just like, I would be interested in like dating your daughter and this and that, the third. We kind of tried to take like a traditional route, I guess you could say, or like a different approach than traditional dating. And my mom's response, not probably, based on what he said, my mom's response made him feel some type of way. Like it was too, because my mom answered it and she gave like guidance, like, just kind of like motherly advice, but he wasn't really trying to hear it. And so I was like, okay, like I can understand where you're coming from with it or whatever. But at the same time, it's like she wasn't malicious in it. She wasn't like cussing you out or nothing like that. So that made him feel some type of way. He wasn't here for the accountability at all. And he also just did not really seem to get past the tongues thing. I really feel like he used the tongues thing to just put a fork in it and say, nope, this ain't gonna work because you don't speak in tongues. And so I was just like, okay, at this point, like it's not really going anywhere because I can't really prove that to you. Like I can't really show you anything else. Like if you don't see the fruits of the spirit, I don't know what else to do for you. Like at this point, it just seems counterproductive. And so we decided to he decided when he came back, like 2 or 3 days passed, he came back from the Colombia trip and he decided to take a fast. So he called me, it was like a Monday morning, I think, or something, or Tuesday. And he called me and he was like, hey, no, I don't think he didn't even call. He texted me because I woke up to the text. He texted me and he was just like, hey, like, I want to take a fast for 3 days. I'll let you know. I don't even know if he said 3 days. I feel like he said, I want to take a fast for a couple of days. I don't think he said 3 days. I want to take a fast for a couple of days. I'll let you know my thoughts or whatever when I'm done with my fast. It was something to that effect. So I was just like, okay. And so I already knew deep down, like, this is the beginning of the end, basically. I pretty much knew his mind was made up. So, come on, faster together. I mean, that definitely makes it sound legit, right? It's like, okay, yeah, very much giving spiritual manipulation, she don't pray enough, right? It was just like, no, like, yes, the spirit of narcissism. And I was just like, nah, like, I already knew. So the days passed, and I'm just kind of like, okay, because he's like, I want to take these days to just stay kind of like take a quote unquote break, but he's still all up on my Instagram and stuff, like not really skipping a beat. So I was kind of in between and betwixt. I'm like, I don't really know what he's going to do, but I just knew in my gut, like it wasn't going to necessarily be good. And so that weekend, because his radio show was Friday nights, that weekend, I saw that his co-host had put up like boomerangs on her Instagram and stuff of them with like the not guest speakers, the guest artists and stuff for that week. And they look turned. So I was like, oh, okay, I never heard of these artists, these Christian rappers. Let me check them out. So I'm clicking, I'm looking through. I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. She used to like to go live and like show behind the scenes of the live show. And so I typically would not even watch it, but something this Friday told me go ahead and click the live stream and just see like, or the live replay, because she had been off live for maybe like an hour, 2 hours by the time I saw it. So something told me to click it. Normally I would not, because I don't like sitting and watching, like, not on Instagram. On YouTube I don't mind, but on Instagram I don't like sitting and watching like an hour, 2 hour long replay of a live. Like, I don't know, it's just weird to me on Instagram. And so maybe because I can't minimize the screen and still do what I want to do on YouTube, I could do that. But I clicked it. Something said, go ahead and click it and see what they were talking about or whatever. So I click it, and he brings up a part of a conversation that we had when he was talking about the whole, like, I didn't really care for your mom's response, and you don't speak in tongues and this and that. That conversation when he was still overseas, he brought up a part of that conversation that we had that was very private. Like, literally, you would know it's me based on that conversation. And he was like, so blah, 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 reference that. And he was like, with that being said, what do you think about people that don't speak in tongues? Because the Bible's pretty clear that you need to speak in tongues and this and that. So then the co-host gets on her high horse and she starts going in. I mean, she's just like, I don't even understand how you could be a believer and not speak in tongues. That's dumb to me. I don't even talk to people like that because the Bible is clear. You can't take out parts that you don't want to abide by and then abide by the other parts and da 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 da. And she's going off. Okay. She might as well call me everything but a child of God, because she's going in. And it's just like, it looked rehearsed. It didn't look like, okay, you just asked me this question randomly. I don't know who you're talking about. Live on the radio show, okay? I was the segment for that day. They didn't say my name, but again, if you knew us, you would know he's referencing me. Because a couple people knew we were dating. Like, it wasn't the whole world knew, but a couple people knew. So they would know. And either way, it's still like, that was a private conversation. Like, why are you using me as an example? Like, come on now. Especially when you know your co-host is finna drag me. And so she's going in. And to make matters worse, he's laughing in the background, and she's just putting down every believer that don't speak in tongues and this and that. And she was way, way too passionate for it to be organic. I'm like, this, I could tell y'all done talked about this a couple of times. And so he's laughing in the background. I'm just like, oh, nah. See, at this point, I'm like, at this point, you're lucky you're at the radio station and you're an hour plus away. And so I'm in the bed and I'm just shaking at this point. I am shaking. I'm distraught. I am like going into a whole panic attack over this thing. Like, it really sent me in a downward spiral. And so it really sent me in a downward spiral. And I was just like, I can't believe this actually happened. And so I'm on the phone with my best friend at the time. And she's just like, nah, you got to cut that off. Because she was like, this is taking a toll on you mentally. It's really like affecting just like your mindset, your thought process, everything. And so I was going to call him, but I was like, I don't even want to be like triggered in another conversation. So I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and tell him it's not going to work. Don't worry about getting back to me on the fast. Because I already knew he was going to drag me and insult me in the process, and break up with me. So I'm just like, nah, like, it's okay. Best of luck to you. God bless. And I kept it pushing. And for that week after that, I was like down bad. Like, I had such bad anxiety. I was like just so lethargic. I was lost and confused because, mind you, he came like a quick storm in my life, like out of nowhere. And we just bonded so fast and everything just was so aligned to where it's like, wow, like, I really think this is it. And he was even thinking that. But again, I really believe there were conversations had, definitely with the co-host, but I believe also like with his some of his family members and stuff like that, where they just talk crap. And I know his uncle had said some things about my mom and I wasn't having it. He really tried to go in on my mom. And I don't play about my mom, okay? Like, I'll throw hands over my mom, period. I don't care what anybody thinks. So I was like, nah, like, I can't. And all that just turned me off of it, because it's like, I can't marry into a family like this, because y'all are destructive. Y'all are, just chaotic, dramatic. Like, no, it's too much. It's too much. Life is stressful enough. I don't need to be signing up for the circus. And so, needless to say, it really highlighted to me how much people suffer with spiritual abuse and manipulation. And, for me, this is why I get very passionate about the topic of tongues, because I feel like in the church, people use it as a weapon of manipulation or to make you feel like you're less than. So it's like, oh, if you don't speak in tongues, you're not as holy as somebody else. If you don't speak in tongues, you're not as powerful. And I'm here to tell you today that God has answered my prayers without me speaking in tongues just as much as he answered them for people that speak in tongues. Like, I have very clear testimonies and obvious testimonies of God hearing me, paying attention to me, answering my prayers, and I'm not any less of a child of God because I don't have the gift of tongues. Like, and to be honest, a lot of people be worried about the gift of tongues, but they don't have patience, they don't love, they don't have compassion, they don't have any of that, but you worried about tongues. So it's just like, let's look at the whole picture here. And so I wanted to bring that up because it's like those situations, particularly this month, because those situations really can make you feel less than. They could really play on your mental health if you're not careful or if you don't know any better, and they can have you entering relationships with people that ultimately will abuse you in some way, shape, or form. Not every form of abuse comes in physical. It can be emotional, it can be spiritual, financial, it can be so many different things. So it's like you have to be aware of these kind of things. And when someone is not loving you in the way that you deserve to be loved, cut it off. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh well, he's spending so much money, or like it just he's really cute, or it seemed like we were meant to be. No, let it go. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And the sad part is, because I believe it very much was a form of spiritual manipulation, those situations are even more tender because our spiritual relationship with God really does, like, it's how we navigate life. And for many of us, it's the epicenter of our lives. And so if someone is telling you you're not this unless you're doing that, you're more prone to jump through hoops to get their approval, which means that you're more prone to stay in a toxic, abusive, manipulative situation to get their approval because you believe that their approval is tied to your righteousness. And it has nothing to do with that, because at the end of the day, you don't have a heaven to take me to or hell to put me in. I know my relationship with God. I know my heart. I know what God has brought me through, and I know what he's bringing me through and where he's taking me to. So I don't need to prove anything to you because you feel like I need to prove in tongues. I need to speak in tongues to be righteous. No tenderness, no patience, no forgiveness, but you speak in tongues. Right. Like, that's not cute. That's not cute. It's actually doing a disservice because, like, okay, you speak in tongues, but you still rude to people and manipulative. Like, no. Oh, can y'all still hear me? Can y'all still hear me okay? Because Yasmin said something happened to the sound. I can still hear you, but you sound like you're underwater or speaking from a speaker. I am on the speaker on my phone. I'm not on car Bluetooth though. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know if I still sound weird. Because it could be the air too. I have the air kind of blowing because it's hot out here. Do I sound okay? Do I sound like I'm underwater? I'm gonna keep talking, but let me know if I sound clear or if I sound like I'm underwater. But yeah, so that's basically the story. Broke up with him, haven't talked to him since. Blocked the co-host because I was like, I did not want her using. I was thinking the same thing. I thought it was just me. It's gotten better now. Okay, maybe because I moved the air. Okay, yeah, maybe it was the air blowing. Okay, so I'm gonna keep talking though. But okay, good. I'm good now. Perfect. So yeah, I blocked her because I was like, I don't want her using me for another segment. I don't want her like trying to go. It went back. What? Come on now, StreamYard. Don't do me dirty like this. What about now? Is it better now? What about now? I was like, I don't want her using my son, for anything or whatever. So I blocked her, and then I blocked him initially, but then I unblocked him because I'm petty and I kind of want people. Wait, I'm still alive. Wait. Y'all, sorry. That's gonna be another story, but okay. So of course it will get clear when my friend will pop up, but whenever I touch it, it seems to get better. Okay, I'm gonna just have to hold it because it could be the air. But yeah, I was like, I blocked him initially, but then I unblocked him because I could be petty, y'all. God's still working with me on that. And I was like, I don't want him to be blocked because I want him to see me thriving. And y'all, why did he look at my stories? Friend, yo, that's the friend, Michelle and Yasmin. That's the friend. That's numero uno. But all my business on the street tonight, y'all. All my business on the that's that's the one, Michelle. That's the one. No, y'all can't get this tea yet. This tea is still brewing. I can't tell the tea too soon. Okay, we gotta wait. But but yeah, I was like, I want him to see me thriving. And y'all, like, why? So we broke up March 2021. I want to say because I had him blocked for maybe like 2 months or just about, and I was like, I'm still alive. Like, no, you doing too much right now. trying to give a show, like I can't. But so needless to say, see, I'm all like discombobulated now, like I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so needless to say, you know, I think it was about 2 months because I feel like it was before Memorial Day last year, but it was twice. One time he looked at my stories, like my whole school story, because it was a day where I was posting about my stories, and I was like, dang, he watched every single one. And so I was like, okay. And then what? It's muffled again. Okay, let me try to hold it away from the air, because that might be it. Is that better? Let me know if that's better. And then after May, I want to say it was sometime in the summer, maybe July or something like that. I need to see. That's so cool. Right. Okay, we got a lot of catching up to do, Yasmin, because I caught Michelle up. But you missed some activities. But it was sometime in the summertime. He didn't watch all my stories that day, but he watched like a couple of them. So I was like, he's still checking for me. And then, oh, y'all, why did he do a radio segment? Because after I unblocked him, I was like, let me go lurk on his Instagram real quick just to see what he's up to. Because he had like more posts. He never was super active on Instagram, but he had more than he has now. Like if I was to give y'all his page name, which I'm not going to do, then you'd be like, man, like, his page is real dry. Like he took off a lot of posts, but he had put up a like video clip of one of his Friday shows, and he was talking about how people abandon you when you need them the most. Like, it was shade at me, basically. Like, it wasn't like abandoning you when you need them the most. It was something like when you start to get your hopes up about somebody and they abandon you and leave you high and dry. He was like, that's why the Holy Spirit is the only friend you need because you can't count on people and this, that, that. He was throwing shots at me. And I was just like, ooh, homie is hurt. Because he looked hurt. He looked hurt in that video. And I know he had to be because I feel like I said, I know it was people in his ear. And the thing about that is like, this is why you gotta have wise counsel. You gotta mind who you tell what to. And I always tell people, particularly women, kind of women, but in general, I always tell people like when you're dating someone, when you're getting to know someone, or embarking on anything important in life, mind who you tell what to. Because some people are saying they want the best for you. They're saying they love you as a family member or friend, but they really want to see your demise. They really want to see you like crumble, or they're miserable. So the fact that you can actually be happy with someone makes them feel some type of way. And I really feel like that was the people that he clung to the most. Because the couple that was married that knew about our Valentine's Day date, they really liked me. I never talked to them or met them, but just from what he told them about me, they really liked me and they gave him wise advice. They gave both of us wise advice. I mean, like I said, I never talked to them on the phone directly, but if we had a conversation and like we say we were in a tussle, I wouldn't say arguing, but like we didn't see eye to eye, he would go and get their opinion, and they would just give wise counsel. They weren't much older than us, but they had been married long, walking with the Lord for a while. Like they just knew how to walk out married life. And so they would correct me, they would correct him, but it was in love and it was out of wisdom. People like that, I don't mind, because I don't want yes men around me. I don't want people that are always gonna be like, oh yeah, you doing right, like tell me when I'm wrong respectfully, but tell me when I'm wrong. But the people that he tended to cling to, I really believe were secret haters. I don't know if he talks to them now, because the thing about people like that too, you will be telling them all your business, leaning on them and stuff like that, and then when your life starts to fall apart, they up and disappear. Like they don't even be talking to you like that anymore or whatever. So friend is waiting. When were y'all supposed to be getting together? What time? Wait, are you talking about me and my friend now? Or are you talking about Josh? You know when it was like we've been talking about let's get this thing. Y'all are hilarious. I cannot. Uno Guante. He might be the sixth person that joined. Is this our church friend? Yes. Yes, sis. Like I said, the tea is hot. The tea is in the kettle brewing. But anyways, y'all, so that's the story. Those continuing the story. Stick it to the period. Like I gotta do this cash giveaway, but I'm wrapping this up. I just wanted to tell y'all that story because I was really ashamed at first to tell it because I feel like, and this happened recently with someone that's in Black Christian Influencers with me. She got married in 2020. She's walking through a divorce right now. She's actually on a very prominent TV show right now. And I'm like, dang, you too? Because her relationship, it was very similar to how me and Steve got together. Where it was like, yeah, I prayed and this and that. And it just seems like it's all divine movements of God and then it falls apart. And, obviously, the whole Megan Good and Devon Franklin thing. And we hear stories like this, and that's why I resonated with that story so much. Obviously, I wasn't walking through a divorce, but it's just like I've had that experience where it's like, dang, like I really thought this was like God's best for me, and it just unraveled right before my eyes. Like, and it can be very hard to walk through that because then you're like questioning yourself. You're like, do I know God's voice? Like, am I tripping? Like, and then you couple that with spiritual manipulation and stuff. It really just it gets to a point where it's just like too much. And so I wanted to share that story, one, because this is freeing for me, because for like a year I really felt like a failure in that department. I was questioning my faith. It turned me off so much from the church, because when he was doing that stuff, I was also getting other people questioning my faith in the influencer world, like other, I guess you could call them coworkers or all influencers, where they were kind of riding that wave too. And even though they weren't as manipulative and like hurtful with it as Steve was, it really had me feeling like, dang, maybe I'm not saved. Like maybe, and I was really turned off with the church and stuff like that. And so, I'm not playing with y'all tonight. Well, don't let the TV. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. Okay, so yeah, I really had that moment where I literally almost walked away from God. I said, there was like maybe a good 3-4 months last year where I did not watch church. I wasn't going to church already because of the pandemic, but I didn't watch church. I wasn't in my word. I wasn't praying. I didn't even want people to call me like a believer or anything, because I was like, no, like I'm done with the church. This is too much. I'm never good enough. Like I'm never saved enough. I'm never gifted enough. Like, and it took God himself to bring me back and say, like, you don't need to appease man. You need to worry about me, and people need to hear your story and see it. So I was even scared to address the gift of tongues publicly. So even just saying this right now is like freeing for me. And I know there might be people in the comments that are like, oh, well, da da da. But honestly, I just save your breath, because I'm not going to argue with you in the comments. I'm never going to tell someone that your gift isn't real or whatever. But don't make other people feel less than because they don't have the gift of tongues. So if that is you, if you're in a situation like that right now, a relationship like that, I want to really encourage you to pray about it, get clarity about it. And I'm going to tell you that love is never manipulative. Real love is never manipulative. It's never abusive. It never keeps record of wrongs and makes you feel less than. So if you find yourself feeling those things, then I would encourage you to get out. But ultimately, it's your decision. But if you do need someone to pray with you and talk to about it, I don't mind sharing more details about my experience and just giving wisdom. But also, I just wanted to say, as believers, we need to be more sensitive to the fact that everyone's gifts are God's determination to give. So I have nothing against tongues, but again, it's God's determination to give it. And if he sees fit, he'll give it to me. So, my son's dad did that too. I used to constantly question my salvation because, wow, really? Yeah, like, see, and it really has you questioning your salvation altogether. So just know you're not alone. And like I said, if you want to DM me on Instagram at official Rondelle Martin, hit me up. But that was my story, y'all. So I was this close to being married last year. Like if we stayed together, I would have been married probably by the end of last year. But I had to go through a lot, but God brought me back. If you've been following me for a while, you probably have seen the change during that time last year where I was kind of like over the church. If you're insightful, you probably picked up on it. But we good now. We good. Me and God are good. So get out. Yes, love is not abusive. Get out. Like if you want to know what real love is, look at 1 Corinthians 13. It'll tell you what real love is. If it don't look like that, it's not real. So let it go. But I'm gonna do the cash giveaway now. So I'm gonna do it the same way I did it Mother's Day. I'm gonna think of a number between 1 and 100. Whoever gets to closest to the number will win the cash prize. Like I said, you have to have Zelle or Cash App, whichever one works better for you. If you have Zelle, don't put your Zelle in here because you do have to typically give your email or phone number. DM me on Instagram if you're going to go the Zelle route. If you're going to do Cash App, you can put it in here. That's fine. And only one guess, okay? Only one guess. So let me think of a number real quick. Oh yeah, I'm glad I saw it before I got married to him too. Like it really, I was distraught about it, but when I thought about it and talked to my spiritual mentor, she was like, God's timing. Like, yes, it fell apart quickly, but it's better it fell apart quickly than for you to be 5-10 years in and realize it and go through all the abuse and stuff. So yeah. Okay, let me think of a number between 1 and 100. Okay, I thought of a number. So between 1 and 100, put your guesses in the chat. And whoever comes closest to it will win the cash prize. One guess, y'all. One guess. Friend is waiting, and I'm ready to get to friend. Okay. I'm ready to get to friend. Any other guesses, y'all? We got Michelle saying 38. Yasmin said, get out of the car. Y'all are like, don't jack this up. 70, 79. Any other guesses? I'm gonna wait like one more minute. 58. Any others? I'm not even gonna wait one more minute. I'll wait like 20 more seconds because I gotta use the bathroom. So I've been sitting here for a minute and people keep walking by staring anyway. So, because the light's on. Any others? Going once, going twice, 2.5. All right. Well, the number was 37. So, Michelle, you won because you're one number away. So, do you want to do Cash App or not forget the bathroom? Y'all are not playing with me tonight. Hey, Shay, you missed the whole story time. You're gonna have to rewatch and the giveaway because Michelle just won the giveaway. So, congrats, Michelle. Do you want to do Cash App or Zelle? If you're doing Zelle, just message me on Instagram. If you're doing Cash App, you can drop that right now and I'll just go ahead and Cash App you. And then I'll be out of you guys' hair. But thanks for listening to my story. And thanks. Okay, I'll Zelle you. Thanks for listening to my story. Congrats again, Michelle. This won't be the last giveaway. Hey, Melina, you missed the story time of the giveaway too, but I was just getting ready to say this won't be the last giveaway. I know that, and I will have more story times. But I'm contemplating changing the time for Sunday kickback. Does 8 p.m. Eastern work for y'all? Would you prefer? I can't really do earlier because I do try to get some errands and work done on Sundays. But maybe 8:30 or is 8 good? Let me know, even if you don't do it right now. But yeah, just let me know. And the next video will be Tuesday. I'm going live. And then Thursday, Shay, me, and Yasmin will be live 9 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I just wanted to hear the story. Oh, okay. Well, it's gonna pull up after this, but I am gonna share the link. 8 o'clock works. Okay, perfect. I'll keep it at 8 then. It's every other Sunday. So I'm gonna put the link to this replay in my Instagram stories because StreamYard does tend to hide the replay sometimes. So y'all can go back and listen. And again, I just want to thank y'all for supporting me through my journey, being there to comfort me. Because during that dark time in my life, some of y'all in the chat were right there with me, just like crying with me, praying for me. So I really do appreciate y'all. So before I start crying for real, I'm gonna let you go ahead because I'm an emotional thug. But y'all have a good rest of your Sunday. Look out on the Instagram story for the replay link. And I will see you guys Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We are continuing on. I think it might be my last topic for moms or something. I can't remember, but just stay tuned and I'll see y'all. Enjoy the rest of your night, y'all. I'm gonna go chill with friend. Thank you, Clarissa. I really appreciate it, sis. Enjoy your Sunday, y'all. Be safe. Have a good night. Yes, it's a natural B for me. Nothing but tinted moisturizer and some lashes, y'all. But I will see y'all. Bye. Love y'all.